So, guys, this is going to be a really good coaching call for a lot of you guys. Some of you guys right now that are taking down notes, right, watching this right now on the live coaching call, shout out to you guys because you guys are going to get the biggest bane from this exercise. And then if somebody's watching this on the replay and taking down notes, shout out to you as well because this is something that we talk about a lot at Heartletics, which is the good wolf versus bad wolf. And I put together this presentation to really help you guys take a collective note over where have you been at the last 3 months. So that way we can actually see the changes and we can actually make sure that we're preparing for the future. As in starting today, what can we do to just start feeding the good wolf, right? So I'm going to go over a lot of different practices, different exercises in this presentation to once again just help you win that battle. And hands down, when I tell you guys this, if you win that battle of the bad wolf, and we'll talk all about what that actually means, your life will change. I promise you that within the next 90 days. Okay, so if you guys are taking down notes, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, you don't have to write down the one, two, three, four, five just yet. Okay, and I'll share why when we get to number one. But this whole practice that we're going to be doing is a self reflection exercise to once again just help you starve the bad wolf. So, the good wolf versus the bad wolf. There's an old Cherokee story about a grandfather teaching his grandson about life. He said, inside every person, there are two wolves constantly battling. One wolf represents positivity, which is love, hope, kindness, and strength. And the other wolf represents negativity, which is fear, doubt, laziness, and self sabotage. The grandson asked, which wolf wins? And the grandfather replied, the one that you choose to feed. This story isn't just a lesson, it's the foundation of your entire fitness journey. Every day, you have the power to decide which wolf gets stronger. Why this matters on your fitness journey. So, your fitness journey isn't just about losing weight, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. The battle between the good wolf and the bad wolf happens every single day. This battle is what separates the people who stay stuck from the people who transform their lives. But the truth is, every single person on this call or watching the replay is capable of winning if they choose to feed the right wolf. So let's talk about the good wolf, right? The good wolf inside of you. The good wolf is the voice that says, you can do this. It's the version of you that shows up even when you're tired. It's the voice that reminds you why you're on this journey for your health, for your family, your confidence, and your future. The good wolf represents the leader you're becoming, the person that your family deserves. Every time you show up, you're feeding this wolf and becoming that version of yourself. And on the opposite, we have the bad wolf. The bad wolf isn't just negative thoughts, it's self sabotage, comparison, and excuses that have held you back for years. It's the voice that says, you're too far gone. It's too late. You'll never get there. That voice is a liar. The only reason the bad wolf feels so loud right now is because you've been feeding it for too long. But starting today, that changes. So if you're taking down notes, this is the first thing I want you guys to write down on a piece of paper. Okay. Just write down good versus bad. And then I want you to just write a line just going straight down the middle. Okay. Now, based on this, I want you to write down the thoughts, the emotions, and the feelings that you have been feeling the last 3 months. So for the good wolf, right? Like, what are those good thoughts? What are those good emotions? What are those good feelings? And then also on the flip side, for the bad wolf, right? What are the bad thoughts, the bad emotions, and the bad feelings? Some of your good thoughts, emotions, and feelings might look like this. For the thoughts, for example, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm already further than I was yesterday. If I can show up today, I can show up tomorrow. Maybe it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to make me stronger. Every small win is making me a better person. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be consistent. Maybe some of your emotions are proud, which makes just because for once you're actually keeping your promises to yourself. Maybe grateful because that you finally made the decision to stop waiting and start taking action. Maybe even hopeful because you started to believe that maybe this time it will be different. And maybe confident, not just because of how you look, but because you're finally taking ownership of your life. And as far as your feelings go, maybe that is the clothes are fitting better, you're waking up with more energy, saying yes to taking family photos instead of hiding in the back, leading your family instead of just, providing for them, showing up for your kids and showing them what discipline looks like instead of just telling them. Now, as far as the bad thoughts, emotions, and feelings, it might look like this. Your thoughts, I'm too old to lose weight. What's the point? I'm just going to fail again like I always do. I've tried everything, nothing seems to work for me. I'm too busy to prioritize my health right now. I'll start on Monday. I'm just not built like the other guys who get in shape. Maybe some of the emotions are frustration because you know deep down you're capable of more, but yet you're stuck in the same cycle. Maybe you feel lonely because you don't talk to anyone about how you really feel deep down inside. Maybe even jealous because you're comparing yourself to the other guys who are crushing it while you're stuck. And maybe as far as your feelings go with the bad wolf, maybe it's low energy, no confidence, constant self doubt, snapping at your wife or kids, avoiding social situations. So now that you guys have what you personally wrote down on your piece of paper between the last 3 months, right? How was the good wolf affecting your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions? You should have that on the left hand side. And then on the right hand side, what are those bad thoughts, feelings, and emotions? I want you to be honest. Okay. This is how you're going to get the most bang from this exercise. Okay. The most bang for your buck. Circle. Which one have you been feeding the most? The good wolf or the bad wolf? So it says here, let's be real. This journey is harder after you turn 40. Your metabolism is slower. You got more responsibilities like family, work, and stress. But the truth is, those are the very reasons why you need to win this battle. This isn't about losing fat, it's about proving to yourself that you're not done. The best years of your life are still ahead of you if you choose to fight for them. So now let's talk about the number one weapon to feed the good wolf. Your thoughts create your reality. Every time you choose a positive thought over a negative one, you're rewiring your brain for success. When you wake up and say, I'm tired, the bad wolf wins. When you wake up and say, I'm blessed to get another day to become better, the good wolf wins. Your internal dialogue is the most powerful weapon you have and what you control, basically how it says, and you control what it says. This is supposed to say head. Okay. So it says, if you hear the bad wolf in your head, talk back and fight from your heart. Okay. So once again, a little typo there. That's supposed to say head. And this is a solid affirmation. I don't listen to that voice anymore. I choose faith over fear. So back when I was doing mixed martial arts, boxing, that internal dialogue, it isn't just for like, the training when I'm hitting the heavy bag, when I'm sparring. It's not just, behind the scenes before I step in the ring or before I step in the cage. I'm trying to pump myself up before a fight. It's even during the fight, guys. Like your internal dialogue means the most. And I want you guys to understand this, that every single person that's on this call right now watching the replay, you're a fighter. It's just that maybe you forgot how to fight, and maybe you just have to brush off the ring rust and start fighting back because, the person that's always staring back at you in the mirror every single day, that is always going to be your most challenging opponent, plain and simple. But the minute you start fighting back from your heart rather than your head and you start winning this battle, your life is going to definitely start to change. So now let's talk about the danger of comparison. Comparison is one of the bad wolf's favorite tricks. It will have you scrolling through social media, looking at the other guys, thinking you're not good enough. But hear this loud and clear. Your journey is not anyone else's. The only person you're competing against is the person in the mirror. So stop comparing your chapter 1, 2, or 8 to someone else's chapter 20. Stay in your lane and trust the process. So let's talk about how to silence self-doubt. Self-doubt will always be there, but you don't have to listen to it. When that voice creeps in saying, you can't do this, respond with, watch me. When it says, you're not making progress fast enough, respond with, I'm getting better every single day. You don't need to eliminate self-doubt. You need to overpower it with action and positivity. So exercise number 3, right? What can you replace from your bad list and make it a positive? So what I want you to do is just go back and look over, the first exercise that we did on here. You have the good list and you have the bad list. If you remember, right, the bad list is all those negative thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And all I want you to do is start thinking about how can you replace some of those negative words with just more positive words, okay? Quick little analogy, okay? Instead of taking all the bad thoughts, emotions, and feelings that we used last time, let's just use the top 3 for each one that I shared with you guys. So for example, let's pinpoint 3 thoughts. I'm too old to lose weight. What's the point? I'm just gonna fail again like I always do. I've tried it all and nothing seems to work for me. And then 3 emotions, so frustrated, lonely, and jealousy. And then, those are emotions. And then 3 feelings. So low energy, no confidence, constant self-doubt. And let's talk about how we can replace them now. So for starters, thoughts, right? How can we replace that? I'm too old to lose weight. Well, the truth is, age is just a number. Discipline is what defines me. Okay. So, an affirmation you can say is, I'm not too old. I'm just getting started. Second is, hey, what's the point? I'm just going to fail again like I always do. And the truth is, I only fail is when I quit. That's it. So, an affirmation you can say to replace this time is different because this time I'm not giving up. And then I've tried everything. Nothing seems to work for me. The truth is, I haven't tried consistency yet, just showing up each and every day. And an affirmation you can say is, I don't need a new plan. I need to stop quitting on myself. Now let's go into emotions. So if you're feeling frustrated, you can say to yourself, this frustration isn't a sign to quit. It's a sign that I'm breaking out of my comfort zone. And I really, really like that one a lot. When you're feeling lonely, you can say, I'm not alone. There's other men fighting the same battle, and I'm going to find my community. And as far as jealousy goes, you can say, I'm not jealous, I'm inspired. If he can do it, that means I can do it too. And then lastly, feelings. So low energy, you can say to yourself, I'm tired right now, but I'm still showing up. As far as no confidence, you can say confidence isn't something I have. It's something that I build and by keeping promises to myself. And then self doubt, you can say, I don't have to believe in myself right now. I just have to take the next step. And I personally really like that one a lot. So now let's get into the small wins that feed the good wolf. Most people wait for the big transformations, but the good wolf gets fed through small wins. Hitting your step goal, saying no to junk food, drinking your water, waking up early. These small wins might seem like they're not really big, right? They're very small, but they're actually what's building this unstoppable momentum within yourself. Every small win is proof that you're becoming the person that you're meant to be. So, important before we continue, okay? Especially for you guys that's watching this live right now. As far as the guys watching the replay, it's on YouTube, it's going to be on Spotify, so they might not have access to the Heartletics app. You guys do, right? So make sure that you use the Daily Wins Report habit to build more confidence in yourself. If you guys want a quick recap of what that looks like, it's a habit that we put on your account. It says Daily Wins Report, and it's very simple. You're sharing to the community group 1 to 3 wins that you had throughout the course of the day, and you're sharing 1 to 3 non-negotiables, right, for the next day. It's kind of like your mission statement. What are you going to do tomorrow? And everybody, has something to be grateful for. Everybody has a win. It's very easy to pick out 1, very easy to pick out 2, and it's very easy to pick out 3. And same thing, what are we going to choose to do tomorrow to just be 1% better? And the fact that you guys are sharing this inside the community group makes it way better because now there's accountability. Now there's support. Now there is, what you need to actually make sure that we hold you accountable to being the best version of yourself and making sure that you're successful. So let's talk about why motivation will never win the battle. Motivation will come and go, but discipline will carry you through. The bad wolf wants you to rely on motivation because it knows motivation fades. But the good wolf knows that showing up when you don't feel like it, that is what creates lasting change. Discipline is the daily decision to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Now let's talk about the science of positive thinking. Positive thinking isn't just hype, it's backed by science. Studies show that people who practice positive self-talk are more likely to stick to their goals, have lower stress levels, which is very important, and improve their overall health. Your mind literally rewires itself based on the thoughts you repeat the most. Positive thinking isn't something you do, it's something you become. And proof that this works is pretty much every single athlete, entrepreneur, and leader who's ever achieved greatness used positive thinking to get there. For example, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, David Goggins, there is literally hundreds and thousands more that I could have put on here. They all won the battle in their mind long before they won it on the field. If it worked for them, it will work for you as well. Why your environment is everything. You can't feed the good wolf in a negative environment. Most of you guys know that, right? If you're hanging around, let's just say negative people out there, you're going to become negative. If you're hanging around people that they don't care about their health, they don't care about, trying to improve themselves, it's very easy to get sucked into that as well. You become the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. So if you're surrounding yourself by people who make excuses, complain, and settle, you'll slowly just become just like them. But on the flip side, if you're surrounded by men who push you, encourage you, and hold you accountable, you'll rise to their level. Your environment either builds you or it breaks you. Now let's talk about the power of community. And this is why Heartletics works. You're not doing this alone. You're part of a community. Every time you show up on a coaching call, just like right here, right now, you drop a win inside the community group or support another member, you're actually feeding the good wolf inside of you and inside of someone else as well, which makes this so important. Community is the ultimate cheat code for success. Why the lone wolf always loses. Very key word there, always. The bad wolf wants you to isolate yourself, to believe you can do this all by yourself. But the lone wolf always loses. The strongest people in the world have coaches, mentors, and a pack around them. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's actually wisdom. The pack always wins. Exercise number 4. I want you to just take a, quick second to just kind of think and most importantly, be honest with yourself. Over the last 3 months, have you isolated yourself or have you engaged with a supportive community? Okay, this is very important, guys, as we continue on, especially when we get done with the last exercise. So, once again, be honest. The last 3 months, have you isolated yourself, try to do it all by yourself, or have you asked for help? Have you engaged with, a community that's there to challenge you, support you, and help you through this journey so you're not doing this alone? So just write that down. Number 4, have you isolated yourself or have you engaged? Now let's talk about the morning routine to feed the good wolf. And this is very short. I know a lot of you guys are busy just like myself, so I want to make this very quick, right? This does not take a long time at all. It's 5 minutes of gratitude, 5 minutes of positive affirmations, 5 minutes of visualization, and 5 minutes of just planning out your day. Now, if you're doing the daily wins report, your day should already be planned. You already know, hey, based on how you evaluated yourself from the previous day, what are your non-negotiables for that day ahead of you? So it should be very easy to just recap that and then execute. It says here that winning the day starts in the first 20 minutes. Set the tone, feed the good wolf, and watch how your entire life starts to change. Now, what do you do when the bad wolf shows up? Challenge the thoughts. Okay? Challenge the thought. And this goes back to what I mentioned earlier about you guys have, that inner dog in you, I like to say, that inner beast, that inner warrior, aka that good wolf. Start fighting back. It's always a battle, right? So it's just like, why don't you actually start fighting back? And this is where you have more confidence within yourself. This is when you start speaking better words. This is when you challenge those thoughts. You also replace the negativity with a positive truth, just like how we did here in one of the exercises, and then take action immediately. That is the best thing that you can do. The bad wolf will never fully go away, but you have the power to starve it. Final takeaways. This journey is about so much more than fat loss. It's about becoming the leader your family needs. The battle between the good wolf and the bad wolf happens every single day, but you get to decide who wins. Feed the good wolf through action, positivity, and community, and watch your entire life transform. Who will you choose to feed today? Your future is waiting, but only one wolf can lead. Only one wolf can lead you there. Last question. Who are you going to start feeding today? So just like very similar to number 1, you have the good wolf, you have the bad wolf. I want you to just write that down for number 5. Write good versus bad and circle it. Who are you going to start feeding today?
Yeah, I think that was an awesome exercise because it's about looking inside, right, and really digging in deep and see who you are feeding because it's very easy to feed that bad wolf because it's just easy, right?
Yeah.
But in the last 3 months, we're just speaking 2025. It's been a different year for me comparative to last year. This year, the good wolf is getting fed. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I don't have my bouts where the bad wolf like nips. Just yesterday morning, I didn't want to get out of bed. I was tired. I'm sore. I laid there for 5 minutes and I wrestled with it, but I got my butt out of bed, hit the gym. So,
Yeah.
and it goes back towards the end, starting off your day with positivity and getting in that right mindset. So I got my manifesto. I got my deep rooted why. They're in my car. I read them every single morning. I do my visualization sometimes in the morning, sometimes at night, just to get in that right headspace and see what that future self is going to look like. So yeah, all about the good wolf this year.
I love that, brother. I love that. Great feedback. Great. Jeff Koons, let's go to you. Um, so for starters, feedback, what kind of was that a helpful exercise? What kind of stood out the most? And then based on the last 3 months, once again, and the reason why I'm having you guys share this, we talked so much about community, right? We talked about honesty a lot in there, right? This is a big part of integrity, but just sharing your honesty, right? This is going to help out so much as a community to just hold you guys accountable to say, okay, hey, you've been doing this the last 3 months. Let's make these changes now going forward. So the next 90 days, 3 months from that today, we start feeding the good wolf. So Jeff Koons, what are some thoughts and feedback? And then, who have you been feeding?
Feedback is, I think it's definitely helpful. I don't see how anybody couldn't be helped by any of this at all. For me, I think the first step is probably the bigger one for me, and number one and number three, where you're replacing the bad stuff. And I mean, I've been seeing a lot of that with myself over the last few months. The isolation piece. I've kind of been not very active in the app as very much as I have been before. Um, just been a lot of craziness going on in life, so it's just kind of a season that's hopefully changing here soon. And yeah, I mean, uh, the bad's been fed a lot more than the good lately.
Okay. So then let me ask you this, right? Because I don't want to end on a positive with anybody. What's number five?
It's gonna be good from now on.
That's it. And now you have a game plan,
Yep,
right? You have an action
absolutely.
plan. It's just time to start
Yep,
fighting back, brother. That's it.
yep.
Brian Boss. Oh man, it hurts so bad when I cough. I kid you not. Ah, Brian Boss, feedback. And then as far as good wolf versus the bad wolf, who have you been feeding the last 3 months? And then who are you going to start feeding the next 3 months starting today?
So first of all, excellent exercise. I'm glad I was able to fully immerse myself in it and take notes. Wasn't out driving or something like that. Um, so I actually, when we came to number three, replacing the negative words with the positive words, I mean, I just got to town writing, you
Yeah.
know. And as we did number one, I quite honestly at first found it much easier to list things that was under the bad category. It was a lot harder for me to find good things at the beginning.
Can I pause
Um,
real quick, Brian?
yeah,
That's exactly why we're doing this exercise. Because so many times, right, it's so easy to pick out all the bad things, the negativity, right, the bad wolf, and we forget about like what are our wins. And that's why, right, the daily win report really helps out with sharing that. So we're just changing our subconscious mind from all the negativity to more confidence within ourselves, sharing these wins, sharing these positive thoughts, feelings, everything like that. But this is a great self-reflection exercise to just write it down because I'm sure everybody's list, right? It's probably like, I don't know, a 60-40, maybe even like a 70-30 split. It's way easier to write down all the negativity things versus all the positivity, you know? Continue.
yep. Um, so instead of just replacing those negative words, I came up with sentences, and it just was so much easier for me. And I'm just going to share them out if I can real fast in this. I'm
Yeah,
worthy of excellent health, not good health, excellent health.
I love
Uh,
that.
and I will not compare myself to others. I am not lazy. I am a winner. I will succeed with prayer and hard work. You know, so
I love that.
so at the end, let's see. And then I also, you know, have I been isolating myself from the community for the last 3 months? I think when I compare myself to a year ago, the answer is yes. And it was one of the things I heard in church the other day that, is they're looking for volunteers to serve in the church, and that was, you know, um, are you a consumer or are you participating? And so I literally wrote down I've just been a consumer of the community recently and not a participant of the community. So,
Yeah.
uh, and obviously, who am I going to start feeding more of? Obviously, it's the good wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, brother. That's a great thing that you heard the other day at church. I like that a lot. Did you have the daily wins report as a habit?
I did not. However, I'll send you over a private message later because there's a couple of habits that have fallen off that I'm still doing that need to get back on there. My journaling, my meditation fell off, I think, just over time,
Yeah.
and so we'll add those and the daily habits back on.
Yeah. And then let me know also, right, when you send me over that private message, if you want the daily wins report, so that way it's just a friendly reminder. Okay.
Gotcha.
Cool. Chad, let's go to you next, brother. If you can unmute yourself, same thing, right? So number one, feedback. I know you hopped in a little bit late, but at least you got the rundown, right? So give me feedback. Second, in terms of reviewing over, right, your questions. It's like, hey, who have you been feeding? Be honest, the last 3 months. And then third is who are you going to start feeding today?
Okay, yeah. It's probably not as in depth as if I would have been on time. But yeah, initially ended up circling the bad side. Again, 100% agreement. It was so much easier to, start listing out the bad thoughts instead of good. I actually only had two good thoughts out of it, and that was, hitting some of my goals, and then just wanting to live healthier. I'm sure
We're
my
gonna
two
pause. We're gonna pause real quick, Chad. Can I coach you?
yeah, yeah.
So your repeat me, right? Like what was those two good wolf thoughts, feelings, and emotions again? You said there's two of them. What were they again?
Just hitting the small goals
Okay.
and wanting to live healthier.
Okay. So let me ask you a question, okay? Because we often think, right, just health and fitness. And remember, like the good wolf versus bad wolf, this exercise is good for anything, not just health and fitness goals, but anything. It's just in general, personal development practice. So in the last 3 months, right, have you spent any quality time with your family?
Yes,
Okay, so that's something to take note of, right? It's just sometimes hard because, right, somebody's not asking you these questions to think of. Um, in the last 3 months, right, have you went for a walk?
yes,
Okay. In the last 3 months, have you, done something maybe at church or maybe with your community or maybe even with your family that's just like, you're giving back to others?
yes.
Okay. So it's just like, and I'm just asking you just random questions just to get you thinking differently, right? Because when I first did a mindset call with BP, this was probably about a year ago. Um, I asked him, I said, hey man, I said, let's just look back, right? The course of your life. What's like, I guess, the things that you are made you disappointed or made you frustrated or anything like this. And it was like 35 minutes of him just sharing, like, I regret this and I hate this about me and I wanted to change this and negative, negative, negative. And I said, okay, give me three accomplishments that you made in your life. And it was like crickets, right? And that's the reason why just having somebody ask you these questions, right? Or sharing your wins, you start looking at yourself as a winner. That's really what it is, right? And like you're being creative with it each and every day. Well, I didn't win over here because I didn't do my workouts, but I did the dishes. Hey, I didn't win over here because I missed my protein and maybe I forgot to track, but I spent quality time with my family, and I didn't feel guilty about eating these foods like how I normally did, 2, 3 years ago. So it's like when you just start replacing some of the negativity with the positivity and start just recapping those wins, everything changes, brother. Right. So the reason why I'm telling you that, Chad, because maybe somebody else that's either watching this right now or maybe going to be watching the replay, they're probably in the same boat as you, right? They don't have a lot of wins. But the reason why I'm sharing that is because you're a winner, brother. Plain and simple, right? It's just that you just have to think about it a little bit differently, right? And pull that out of you. Okay. Um, Continue.
The one part that I didn't get to was changing negative words for positive words, so I didn't get there. Um, but some of my negative stuff is uh I feel over the last 3 months, I've just went the easy route. It was easier to, maybe not track food for a day or through whatever was going on through that day. Because, some days are harder to track than others.
Yeah.
It's funny what you just said. I did great for most of yesterday and then got lost with the boys in the afternoon and didn't actually track my dinner last night and didn't hit my protein goal. So, but I had a great time with the boys. So
There
it
you
was
go.
like literally exactly what I did yesterday. You just said it. Um, but one of the others, so the last 3 months I've been feeling it's been easier to just be lazy and not track, which is, you know, probably the first biggest downfall for me because if I'm tracking, I usually do pretty darn good. Uh,
Yeah.
um, uh, I've mentioned it with you before. The Whatever has triggered in my brain about what happened the first time I went through the program compared to why it's so much different and harder now. I still have that. I'm trying to figure out why I keep thinking about You know, it wasn't my, I've got that thought in my head. It wasn't my doing or my actions. It was, you know, that stupid thyroid that caused me to lose, you know, and um it
So
it's not
that's
just about losing the weight though either, you know, because I mean that first time through, you know, I was starting to feel good. I was feeling positive, and you know, I actually made a lot of changes in my life. I did some stuff because of that first time through the program that I'd been putting off forever. You know, starting actually getting a business license and
Mm.
starting the boat business, and uh I would have never done that if I hadn't went through the program the first time. So
I
I
love
don't
that.
know why I have that hitch in my thinking about oh, it was just all the thyroid going crazy on me. So
So what you need to do, Chad, honestly, right, is like um you have this windshield in front of you, but yet your biggest thing, what I at least hear from you, is the comparison that we talked about. And it's not comparison against anybody else, it's comparing yourself to the previous you know? So it's like you could say, hey, it was a thyroid, right? But realistically, you could also say, hey, I was younger, right? So maybe my metabolism was faster. You can also say, like, hey, maybe that season of life, like I wasn't so stressed out or bogged down with work or maybe at home or anything like that, right? But you're only looking at this one thing, like the thyroid. So it's like take it off the pedestal and say, okay, maybe it was like a collective group of things. So now it's like, all right, I was able to lose all this weight because three things, four things, five things, whatever it is, right? Write that down on a piece of paper. And then on the flip side, right, talk about where you're at right now. So it's like, okay, hey, what are you in control of today? That's it, right? What can I start doing today? So it's like, hey, maybe if I was, more active back then or less stress at work or whatever the case may be, what is a new set of five, six, seven, maybe 10 things that I can start doing today to replace that? So now it's like we're just looking forward to say, okay, let me just focus on this rather than focusing on what happened before. Does that kind of make sense?
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Who are you gonna start feeding today though, brother?
And down at the bottom, well, the next one, yeah, definitely. I isolated myself. You know, it wasn't until that one post that you put in there that there was something in there that I was like, you know what, I gotta, you know, at least tell Coach that, you know, that hit me in my feelers.
Yeah, and I'm glad it did, man, because I've been missing you.
And then yeah, I circled the gonna be feeding the good side.
God, I love it, brother. I love it. Sherry, let's go to you. For starters, where's Mike at? He's missing a good exercise today.
Yeah, he had an appointment in to show a house in Parma and Lakewood, I think. So he was not happy about it.
He can watch the replay, you
Yeah,
know?
he will.
If you don't mind sharing,
Sure.
what is like the feedback from, this is your first ever like quote unquote coaching call, like a presentation, you know?
Yeah.
And then as far as like the exercises goes, where the last 3 months have you been feel like you've been feeding, right? The good wolf versus the bad wolf. And then the last question is who are you gonna start feeding today?
So this was great. This was phenomenal. I am not even a glass half empty. I'm a glass like three quarters empty. I
Mm.
can be a very, very negative person, though I'm aware of it. And so like as others had said, it was easier to write the bad than the good. However, it's not necessarily like about myself, like how I'm feeling, like I get like frustrated about some of the situations, like dealing with Owen, and our bed sucks, like we both wake up so tired, and just trying to deal with that because we don't get truly restful sleep sometimes. But on the flip side, I have happiness when the minute Owen comes out of his room, because he's always in a good mood, which is wonderful for us. Um, so the good thing with Mike is when we first met, and I think I even told you, he's one that says, look, you want to have a pity party? Go ahead. You have 5 minutes, then you have to reboot and get out. And I lately am very good with that. I was having it yesterday. I had the worst day, totally off, didn't want to do anything. I quit easily. And then it was just kind of like, all right, shut up, get do what you can. And that's how I did today. I wasn't comfortable doing, like I explained, like all the exercises, like some of them are physically uncomfortable for me. So I did what I could and I modified to the point where I'm not feeling pain.
It's good.
I am isolated. I am a stay-at-home mom, so I'm isolated no matter what. And then we are involved in our church. We both volunteer. I'm not exactly sure why I do it because I don't necessarily enjoy it, but
Mm.
I do. And then again, I think I told you, like, we do have a completely different mindset compared to anything we've done before. So I know, like, when I'm having an off day, Mike will try to help me, which um sometimes isn't good for his health because, well, mentally I want to murder him. He's me. But when he's having an off day, like today was a little bit of an off day, I try to do stuff for him, like, so he doesn't have to think about it. So that's how I feel that I compensate, because I don't necessarily bring in like money. So, okay, well, let me get this done for you, like get this done for you, and little things like that. So in a way, that's even a good part for me, that I know in some form I'm helping him.
Yeah.
That's probably rewiring my brain is probably going to be the hardest thing for me.
It is for everybody.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I'll tell you what, the best way to rewire your brain, okay, is one, whenever you're feeling negative, whenever you're feeling a thought, emotion, anything like that, that doesn't serve you, okay. We did an exercise a while back called a primal versus powerful state, two different states of beings, and it's a really good one. In fact, I kind of want to redo that presentation for just another thing to just help you guys on this journey. But Sherry, for that one, it's very simple. Okay. You just stop what you're doing and you just ask yourself, is this thought, emotion, feeling, is it helping me or is it hurting me? You know? And then another question that you can ask yourself is, am I going to worry about this? And let's just say, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe next year, you know? And then the last question is, am I in control of changing this or is it out of my control? Because 95% of the time when people are stressed out, it's typically of things outside of their control. And so they lose self-control, right? And then that's typically the bad wolf because now you get the negativity saying, like, hey, what can you do? And you should have done things differently, or whatever the case may be. And you start playing all these mind games in yourself, right? And it just gets kind of crazy at times where you're like, man, like this doesn't even make any sense. And all you're doing, right, is just causing anxiety, worry, doubt, maybe even some depression, you
yeah,
know? And
I
so,
have all that.
yeah, me too, you know? And so all you have to do is just stop it in its tracks, right? And that affirmation that I gave you, that's actually a really good one. It's just like, hey, you don't have to listen to that voice anymore. Choose faith over fear. Sometimes you're not supposed to know, right? Like how we're getting there. It's just having faith, knowing that we're going to get there as long as we're showing up every single day, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Hey guys, can we go give Sherry a big round of applause? Like, I love having her here, and she's crushing it. You're
Thank
what,
you.
Sherry?
Thank
You're
you.
1 week into the program. I saw you just did your check-in form, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the fact that you're on these calls, and crushing it, you're making those modifications, your workouts, I think it's great.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
biggest thing is, and this goes for everybody on the call, don't isolate yourself, right? The minute you stop engaging the community, the minute you stop sharing your wins, the minute you start, hey, I got this, I don't need to reach out and ask for help, that's when you really start losing that battle. And then it gets worse, right? And maybe that happened to some of you guys where, you start listening to that bad voice, you fall off track, and one day turns into 2 days, 2 days turns into three, and so forth and so forth. James Clear, in his book, Atomic Habits, one of his greatest quotes I absolutely love. A habit missed once is a mistake, and a habit missed twice is the start of a new habit. So let that sink in. Okay. It's just like, hey, these things that we're constantly doing, right? Are they actually forming bad habits within ourselves?